Bye. Oh, welcome 5th grade class. We're going to be presenting to you Humanity I Love You by E.E. Cummings.
This video is by Mireya, Lilian, and Jessica.
Edward Sling Cummings was born on October 14th, like me, on 1894 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. His father, Edward, was a professor at the University of Harvard and was later a well-known minister at the Old South Church in Boston. Mother, Rebecca, loved to spend time with her children. She loved playing games with them and doing activities with Cummings and his sister Elizabeth.
It was Cummings' mother who introduced him to the joys of writing. Cummings wrote poems and also drew as a child. He graduated from Harvard University in 1915 and then received an advanced degree from Harvard in 1916.
After graduating, Cummings became an ambulance driver in France just before America entered World War I, which was from 1914 to 1918. A war involving most European countries and then later the United States. He was in prison for 3 months on suspicion for holding critical views of the French war effort. And this material provided information for his first book, The Enormous Room, 1922.
So, Cummings' personal life. Cummings fell in love with Elaine Orr. The problem was that Elaine Orr was already in another marriage, so yeah. Cummings and Elaine had a daughter, and then they decided to get married, right? The normal thing to do. The marriage lasted 2 months. They later got divorced because Elaine left him for a richer man. After the divorce, Cummings didn't see his daughter Nancy at all after a few years later. But again, Cummings tied the knot with Anne a year later. But that unison didn't last long at all either. When Anne asked for a Mexican divorce, which was illegal in the United States. So technically it didn't really count. But Cummings still met another woman named Marion Morehouse, and she was a fashion model, and they stayed together until Cummings' death.
Humanity, I love you. Humanity, I love you because you would rather black the boots of success than inquire whose soul dangles from his watch chain, which would be embarrassing for both parties, and because you unflinchingly applaud all songs containing the words country home and mother when sung at the old Howard. Humanity, I love you because when you're hard up, you pawn your intelligence to buy a drink, and when your flush pride keeps, you pawn from the shop, and because you are continually committing nuisance, but more, especially in your own house. Humanity, I love you because you are perpetually putting the secret of life in your pants and forgetting it's there and sitting down on it, and because you are forever making poems in the lap of death. Humanity, I hate you. Humanity, I Love You is a free verse like many other of Cummings' poetry. This poem uses no specific pattern of rhyme, rhythm, or meter.
Wow. We will use TPCast to start analyzing this poem. Title. When I first heard the title, I thought that Cummings would be expressing all the good things that humanity has and that he loves.
Paraphrase. At first, he likes humanity because of the joy and the pride it brings him. But in the end, when he looks back, he realizes that humanity changed him negatively and realizes that he hates it.
Connotation. This is a free verse, ironic poem. There is alliteration, which emphasizes the imagery. In the third to last stanza, imagery is seen by portraying the secret of life as a tangible thing. Cummings also uses repetition of humanity I love you, and he uses materialistic metaphors.
Attitude. The tone of this poem is very interesting because as one figures out, in the last line of the poem, which is I hate you, wherever he says that he loves humanity, he is lying. He keeps insulting humanity and yet tells the readers that he loves it. The attitude overall is misleading until the very end, when it all comes together and represents his real feelings.
Shift. The main shift in the last line of the poem, where it says, I hate you, it goes from love to utter hate and disgust. Although the major shift occurs at the end of the poem, like the poem is slowly like drifting to the last part of the poem where it leads up to say I hate you. That's where the major shift occurs.
Title. This title is used sarcastically to ultimately show his hatred and revulsion towards humanity.
Theme. The overall theme of this poem is selfishness. To show this, he uses materialistic metaphors. Selfishness is the reason why he hates humanity.
In stanza 5, Cummings uses symbolism, representing the secret of life as something tangible.
In the first stanza, we see one of the many metaphors Cummings uses to express the selfishness of humanity. This line expresses how success is more important than helping other people.
In lines 1, 10, and 18, Cummings uses repetition when he says, humanity, I love you.
In the third and fourth stanza, Cummings talks about how ironic it is that people sell their pride when it benefits them. But when they have to buy it back, they're unwilling to do anything.
Verbal irony is used throughout the poem. Every time Cummings says, humanity, I love you, he means the exact opposite, as displayed in the last line of the poem. When Cummings states, whose souls dangle from his watch chain, it means humanity is selfish. He is implying an aristocrat with commoners hanging from his chain, meaning somebody wealthy taking advantage and being thoughtless of the less fortunate. Overall, this poem as a whole reflects Cummings' reflections with the war. It is quite cynical in nature, describing his disgust with the classes of society. Cummings uses material metaphors to stress the selfishness of humanity.
As our main idea, we concluded that the poem Humanity, I Love You is undoubtedly inspired by Cummings' time in service. It describes his disgust with classes in society and humanity in general. It is extremely satirical, and the actual meaning is clarified in line when it says, I hate you.
Those of us who spent our lives trying to improve society seem oblivious to the fact that human nature is remarkably resistant to change. Although this poem was written at the beginning of the 20th century, it certainly seems as it was written today.
Can anyone tell me the name of Cummings' mother and father? Diana. Yes, very good. Rebecca and Edward.
What phrase was repeated a couple times in the poem? Jesus Galvan? Yes? Yes! Humanity, I love you.
Can anyone tell me what the last line of the poem? Vivian. Yes. Good job. Good job.
Now, for the final question. How would you say that the author's early life and his past events influenced the way he wrote this poem? Ms. Lopez. Good job. And that's Humanity, I Love You by E.E. Cummings. Thank you.